Nelson, alcoholic addict. That's not my real name. That's the pen name that I chose to use here at LOL Sober. The modem at my house is just okay. I don't have a lot of issues with dropping off Zooms or getting booted off the internet, but my kids and my wife apparently do. So it has been a nonstop source of frustration for them, and they spend a lot of time talking about, how we should game plan to get better Wi-Fi and cable service, etc. And that's brought us to an interesting crossroads for me and for them. Like I said, I'm content with what we got. It works fine. I love our cable package, and they keep coming to me though with deals, like to save lots of money and get better service, to add this and subtract that and bundle X, Y, and Z. And a lot of it sounds a little dubious to me. I'm not seeing the issues they're describing, and so I feel like sometimes it might be a case of the grass looks a little greener by ditching the service we currently have. Their viewpoint is totally valid, though. It's that we pay a lot of money for our cable, phone, and internet service, and that the modem should be better than it is. And our bill is quite high, and it's high enough that my wife thinks even if we keep this service that we should haggle a little bit over the price. And she ended up on the phone with the cable company for 2 or 3 hours the other day, and it was a little combative, and she didn't really get the answer she wanted, and she ended up pretty aggravated that afternoon, even after she hung up. And so she booked another company to come out and take a look at our whole layout. And the guy came out. He was really, really good, but, surprise, he wants us to switch to a much better service with his company. And, before the guy even got here, she said, what's the harm? And that's a very interesting question to me. There really isn't any harm in having a free assessment of your modem and cable package, but I found it's an interesting question for me at this stage in my sobriety, because I understand the case for haggling for the best price possible and also for calling out bad service. I think I understand exactly where the rest of my family is coming from in this instance, and just in general, if something's $10 and they charge you $15, it should be $10. Totally get that. However, I don't, with the modem and stuff, I just don't quite see it the same way as them, because for me, and again, this is just me, I pay a spiritual price when I get locked in on that feeling of somebody getting something over on me. I shared a week or two ago about how irritated I was when I got a bill from Easy Pass. I paid 25 tolls one long weekend of driving, and for one of them, they charged me $51 because it supposedly didn't register as I went through the toll booth. And I was like, well, hold on a second. It worked every other time. How can you say for sure this is my problem, So my answer to what's the harm is actually it is a lot sometimes. Sometimes there's a lot of harm. I find 3 or 4 hours devoted to saving $10 and being on a rampage, maybe having slightly better internet than what I already have. I just find it to be a waste of spiritual energy a lot of times. I'm also an addict, so I spend a lot of time during active addiction, and even now, not being able to just enjoy what I have. Addiction is a disease of more for me. So if 1 is good, I automatically think 5 will be better. And that's just not a very helpful mentality. So I try to avoid a lot of that stuff. I don't want to drain the spiritual bank account more than I have to, And despite what I'm describing here, I've tried it many times, and I continue to try it on a regular basis. But pushing for something that might or might not be better, it's been mostly a waste of time and emotional energy for me. Does that mean I get taken advantage of sometimes? It might. It really might. And I'm not aware of any serious situations, but I bet once in a while I am a sucker. I know one recent example where we got dinner for the 5 of us, and it was $75 or $100, pretty expensive, and there was an item missing, and another one didn't get the order quite right, and we ended up having dinner. It was fine, but the rest of my gang, they wanted to call and yell at the manager and put up a nasty Yelp review and all that, and I get it. I totally get it. They didn't get the order right. bottom line, they didn't get it right. So, but I in that circumstance, I felt like it just wasn't worth it to me. We had a fine dinner. Everything was okay. I just didn't want to go back to the restaurant. It didn't feel like a gift card or a $15 refund was worth even 5 minutes of my time. I didn't feel the need to drive back over there and demand what was missing. I was ready to move on. My point on all of this isn't that you should agree with me or you should agree with my family. I guess my point is that I think it's a valuable question to ask a lot. What is the harm? What's the harm in calling out that person at work? Or what's the harm in yelling at the restaurant or the modem guy? I think it's a good question to ask. And so I'm going to try to ask myself that a lot. If the answer is it's free, but it will harm my serenity, well, it's worth working through that for me and making sure that that's what I really want. Of course, you could just do what I ended up doing with the modem, which is like find somebody who's more pissed off about it and wants to deal with it instead of me and let them do it. So thanks for letting me share.